Amen. Amen. If you're checking in on Facebook, we want to do hashtag don't give up.
Amen.
Don't give up. Don't give up.
Yes, Lord.
Don't give up.
Yes, Lord.
In a day and time when people are throwing in the towel, when people are walking away from their families, walking away from the things that they love, giving up. And I don't know about anybody else, but I've asked myself, what is the use? Anybody? Is it just me? Is it all worth it? Is it all worth it? But I want to encourage us in this season, in this time of the year, as we are leaving 1 year and hopefully entering into another year. I want us to not give up. Not give up. It's easy to throw in the towel. It's easy to throw in the towel. But it takes some tenacity to stand in there.
Yes, Lord.
And fight.
Yes, Lord.
For what you believe in. Amen. Are we there?
Amen.
All right. Verse 27 says, Why sayest thou, O Jacob, and speakest, O Israel, my way is hid from Jehovah, and the justice due to me is passed away from God. Hast thou not known? Hast thou not heard? The everlasting God, Jehovah, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainted not, neither is weary. There is no searching of his understanding. Why? Because he gives power to the faint, and to him that hath no might, he increaseth strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Hold up our Bibles and repeat our confession of faith. I believe.
I believe.
Therefore I receive. With the intent to obey. The engrafted, immutable, and infallible Word of God in every aspect of my life today. You may be seated. I want to leave with us a subject for the next 3 weeks. I'll be talking about energized to finish strong. Energized to finish strong. And the subtopic today is don't give up on hope. Don't give up on hope. Don't give up on hope. It seems that a lot of times, especially during this time of year, we get so busy and so, I would say, burdened down with all the people, our whole list of people that we have to, buy things for and do things for. Me and my wife was just talking. It seems that out of this week, starting this week and next week, it seems like we have all kind of Christmas parties and all kind of stuff going on. If you just heard our announcements, we got a lot of stuff going on before the 31st of this month. And it seems that everything is happening, is culminating in this time because everybody's trying to get their last parties in, their last shopping in, their last things in before the end of the year, so that we can say, I did my part. I did my part. We went gift shopping. We did this and nobody, because we don't want nobody at the end of the year to feel that they didn't get a gift or, that we didn't love them or show our appreciation. But how many of you know that can be pressure on the person? Yes. Yeah. And it seems that this is the most time that people, between October and December, that people are committing suicide. Because of the pressure that I can't perform or I can't live up to what the society has placed on me. And so now everybody got, matter of fact, even before Thanksgiving was even here, they started talking about Christmas. Yeah. They started talking about Christmas in July. Way in July, people started talking about the things and Black Friday and things of that nature, to where when I was growing up, people at least had time on Thanksgiving to spend time with their families. Now it's like Black Friday is now Black Thursday. Yeah. And so really, so a lot of people was out Thursday, and to where Friday is kind of like, okay, now it's the time to kind of relax. But it's like everything that society is putting on us is making us go faster, do more, buy more, and do more than really what we should and be capable of. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to do that. How many of you work and have a job? And it's like they're cutting people and they're cutting wages, but they're putting more on you.
Yeah. Amen.
So they're expecting you as an employee to do double the work with less to pay. Yeah. And you go to your boss and be like, so you want me to do my job and Sally's job and Darren's job? Yeah. And you're not talking about more pay? No. Because this is part of your job. And so I'm telling you, so my desk, and I try to make sure that when I leave, and I think that's the reason why I work and I don't take lunch, not because it's not that I don't want to, it's like I'm the type of person, I like to get what's on my desk done. Amen. So that when I leave for the day, I'm not sitting at home like, oh my goodness, I got to do this, I got to do this. But there's going to be some things that we're going to miss. Some things we're just not going to accomplish. And as people of God, we have to be okay with saying no.
Amen.
Yeah. Let's practice that. No. I can't do it.
I can't do it.
We tell God that all the time.
That's right. You better say that again. Yes, sir, we do.
It's true. It's funny how we tell God no, but then when it comes to other people, but they really are relying on me. Yeah. Now you done told your Savior, I ain't doing it. Right. I'm not doing it. I'm not going. I'm not going to do it. And we don't bet our eyes. We don't even stumble, or we don't lose no sleep. We don't even stutter. We tell God, no in a minute. No, God says, go over there and take Sister Sally some pie and tell her that you love her. I ain't doing that because you know how Sister Sally is. But then let your job say we having a party and we want everybody to give $25. Okay, we giving $25 over here. I told my job, I said, listen, y'all come back to me again asking for more money. Well, we want to give this person this, and we want $10 for this, and we want $20 for this, and $30 for this, and $40 for this, and then we having this, and this is $50. And I said, God, no, how much stuff do y'all want to do for people? But then when it comes to God, we sure quick to tell him, I ain't doing that. Yeah. God, you tripping. And so then we take on these things that God really didn't intend for us to take on. We take on this, and then we look at God and say, you let this happen to me. So literally what we do, and just look straight, don't look at nobody else. So what we do is we consume more than we bring in. And then we get mad at God when we ain't got finances to take care of the things that we have already been assigned to. Because of all the added things that we have. I think Anita got 2 or 3 Christmas parties this week, or 2 or 3 things. I got 2 or 3 things going on. Next week I got 2 or 3 things at the job going on. And so it's just, I'm serious. I'm just ready to say, I ain't doing nothing. That's it. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't giving nothing to nobody else, no money. Because, and then don't even count the church. Y'all just heard we got 10 things going on. The youth are practicing today. They're practicing the 20th. We got something going on fasting this week. We got the 15th, the 13th, the 12th, the 11th. We got all kind of stuff going on. And that's the reason why I said, if you can't make it, God understands. Sometimes when we're talking about don't lose hope, it's not that God has put us in a situation for us to be not to be hopeful. Is sometimes we cause our own selves to be in those situations that we lose sight of who God is. We lose sight of really what is the reason for this season. Amen. Let's just get back to basics. Amen. It's not in the gift giving. It's not because I volunteered for this and I volunteered for that and I volunteered for this. Jesus really is the reason for this season. That's right. And if we lose sight of that, we lose hope. Amen. We lose our foundation. We lose faith. We lose our reservation to say, God, you know what? I may not have this. I may not have this. I may not have this. I may not be able to give this. But one thing that I do have is Jesus.
Yes, thank you, Lord.
And that is enough. Do you know how you end this year will determine how you begin next year?
That's it. Say that again.
So if you end this year on the woe is me and I'm just tired and I'm just worn out and I can't do it and woe and Jesus, guess what? You're going to go into the new year with the same kind of mentality. So what I want to do is encourage us today. Let's forget about who we got to give gifts to. Amen. Just for a moment. Let's forget who we're accountable to. Let's forget all of that, and let's remember that Jesus really is the reason for this season. If I don't have a gift to give, that's it. I promise you, if I give him Jesus, amen. That's it. You give that's enough. That's it. That's enough. That's God. It's amazing how when we start thinking of hope, and definitely dealing with our scripture, when we start thinking of hope, we think that just because I'm in a situation, just because I'm in a circumstance, that God has forgotten about me. The woman with the issue of blood had it for how long? 12 long years. That's a long time to be in a to have a situation. To have an issue. To have an issue. Thank you, Lord. But yet she said within herself, if I would touch not even him. Just the what he has on. Yes. If I but touch the hem of his garment, she didn't say, I maybe, if I come to church 10 times, if I do my tithes and all that. She said, if I but touch the hem of his garment, I know I shall be made whole. And we understand that in that time and age, she really had no business being around people with an issue. That's it. That's it. But she said, if I but touch the hem of his garment, she had to have some type of hope to say, I don't care. I've been to doctor after doctor. I've been to nurse after nurse. I've been here. I've been there. But if I get in the presence of God, thank you, God. All these things that I've been dealing with seem to dissipate. Yes. Could you imagine being in the sea of people and you need to get to Jesus and there's all these people around him, but you have an issue? And you refuse to be stopped. Yes. You refuse to be told no. Yes. You refuse to accept the status quo. Quit just accepting the devil's no when God has said yes. Some of us, we give up too quick. Amen. We do. That's real. We do. We give up and give out and give over too quick. And we don't understand that God said, healing, I've already, by my stripes, I've already healed you. I'm waiting on you to proclaim it. Amen. And then I'm waiting on how you're going to act in the process. That's it. In the process. Before I get, before it comes, before it manifests, how are you going to act in the process? That's really what God is interested in. And what we see here is funny because as I begin to just study and I was just really as a history major, I love history. And just studying Isaiah and things of that nature, I started getting sidetracked and forgot that, I was ministering. And I started studying history and times and things of that nature. Because if you understand the Bible, the children of Israel during the Old Testament are the same as we are today. Amen. But somehow, because we have the script, we look at them with disdain and with judgment and say, I can't believe that they was acting like that. Come on, y'all. We have the pattern and we still act fool. We have the words and we have the examples and we still act like we don't know who we are and whose we are. And so in Isaiah was also called Esaias, and he was known as the Prince of the Prophets. Just a little background. He lived about 740 BC to 700 BC. He was one of the major prophets who prophesied in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. The book of Isaiah, in many circles, is known as the Bible in miniature. It's two major divisions. The first part is judgment. And the second part is hope. Yes, sir. It has become common in scholarly circles to consider the book is the result of several different authors, because Isaiah prophesied like he lived in the times during the Babylonian captivity, but he didn't.
That's it. That's it.
But he penned it so to where it was as if somebody wrote it that actually experienced it. It was like God transformed him and put him in the scene to where he knew how people would act. He knew what people would say. He knew how people would dress. He knew all of that. And so this is why scholars believe that it had to be written by many other people that lived during that time, because God couldn't possibly take somebody, Ezekiel, and transform him to a valley of dry bones and show him the valley and show him things to come as if he was living during that time. Anybody ever, God ever show you something to come that was going to happen, and it happened just as if God showed it to you? It's just as if you lived in it. You was doing this, that person was doing this, or you was going here and that person was doing this. So why couldn't God show Isaiah that?
Right.
So many scholars now believe that it had to be multiple authors, because surely this man couldn't know all of this stuff that was going to happen. In chapter 6 through 39, the major theme is trust. Isaiah gives us a vision of God's absolute superiority over the nations of the earth. In chapters 40 through 66, the major theme is rebellion. Where there is judgment, there must be trust. Where there is rebellion, there must be hope. This is where we come up in chapter 40, which is the beginning of what they will consider the second book of Isaiah. Because this is where rebellion is, but God also sends hope. So I want to put a pin here to let you know that even in our rebellious state, God never forgets us.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Can we praise God for never forgetting us? Even when I didn't want to do right.
That's right.
Yes.
I had no intentions on doing right.
Amen.
Even when I knew I was doing wrong,
Amen.
God said, I still have hope.
Amen.
I still have hope for you. I want to encourage, there's still hope.
Let's go.
Don't give up.
Thank you, Lord.
Don't give up on your hope.
Yes, sir.
There's still hope. There is still hope. In Isaiah chapter 1, verse 19 to 20, he says, be willing and obedient and eat the fat or the best of the land. So he's telling them, if you do good,
That's right.
you'll eat the good.
That's it.
You'll eat it. And I really think that we trivialize and we make it seem like it's so far-fetched and we want to spiritualize everything. But literally, he told Isaiah to write to my people and say, if you do this, then you'll do that.
That's right.
But he said, if you don't, then the sword is coming. So it's not a, if you do good, then I'm going to send the sword. He said, if you do good, then you'll eat the fat of the land. Don't you know that when we do good, regardless of what situation we may be in, God still said, I'll let you eat the fat of the land? But if we don't do good, then there's judgment. If God being a good father who knows how to give what? Good gifts. If he can give good gifts to us, then why can't he rebuke us? Why can't he challenge us? Thank you. Why can't he reprove us?
That's it.
I think as people in this culture, we're so used to God being the sugar daddy, the candy man. And then when he doesn't live up to our expectation, God, now, you know, I got rent due on the first of the month. You know, that car note is kind of expensive. You know, I got insurance. And we lay out all of our things. And God is saying, now, I told you, if you do good, I'm going to do good for you. Yeah. But if you don't, then there's some consequences for your actions. If we treat our kids the same way, why don't we expect God to do us the same way? If your kid act up right now and haul off and slap the Jesus out of you, what you going to do? You going to turn the other cheek? Huh? Anybody gonna turn another cheek?
No.
And say, do it again. Hit me on the good side. I wouldn't be surprised if not only you jumped on your child, but all the adults in here would probably jump on your child with you. To just let you know I got your back. So then, if we, and I really want to paint the picture, if we would do that, then how do we not expect God to chasten those that he what? Loves. Right? So we shouldn't think of it as a way for him to destroy us and kill us and get at us. We should say, God, you know what? The more whoopings you give me, the more you love me. The more stripes on my, as one to say, on my backside, the more that you love me. Because if I get outside of your will, that's where I should be fearful at. But the more that I kind of ease on that little line, he swiped me on back into the line that I need to go on. So in Isaiah 40, it's funny how Isaiah has come to this chapter, and it's kind of like he's a lyricist. Because the book is relevant for all times and for all people. Yeah. It's relevant. He explains how God is still superior to the nations and their gods, even if circumstances and situations are vastly different. He addresses, it's funny that he addresses questions that the exiles would have, and he did it 100 years before the children of Israel were going to exile. But yet he knew the questions that they would ask. And it's the same questions we ask today. God, where are you? Yeah. Why have you forsaken me? Mm-hmm. When Christ was on the cross, what did he ask? My God, why hast thou forsaken me? It's not a question that is not necessarily you questioning, but it's a question of when you ask the question, do you really believe that God has forsaken you? Or is it something that you're crying out of your flesh? So during this time that Isaiah was prophesying, the Babylonian Empire hadn't come to power. It was the Assyrian Empire. But yet he's speaking to a people that would be captive 100 years before his time. Verse 1 through 11, the question of whether God has cast his people away is addressed in God's promised deliverance. The verses are often referred to as the prologue to the book of 2nd Isaiah. Verse 1 says, comfort, yes, comfort my people, says your God. Speak comfort to Jerusalem and cry out to her that her warfare is ended, that her iniquity is pardoned, for she has received from the Lord's hand double for all of her sins. Here it is. Isaiah is not speaking in the past. He is saying, today your sins are forgiven. Right? He's saying that speak to Israel and comfort them to say, warfare is over. Amen. Even though it hadn't happened, I'm speaking it into existence and letting you know by me saying warfare is over, it's in the present tense, that even though you're going to go through, even though you're going to go through the trials, even though you're going to go through the tribulation, what the song said, trouble don't last what? Always. He said warfare is over and your sins, your iniquity is pardoned. Yeah. So everything that you did has already been taken care of. Everything that you will do has already been taken care of. And he said that he's going to give you double for your sins. So you mean to tell me that the things that I thought I lost, the things that I thought I gave up, the things that I thought I would never get back, not only am I going to get them back, but I'm going to get double? Yes. So you mean to tell me that I should count it what, all joy? Huh? When you fall in diverse temptations, knowing that the trying of your faith worketh patience, and that patience have a perfect work in what? In you. Yes. So God is telling Isaiah to tell the people, I have already ended your warfare. Even though you're going to go into captivity, even though you're going to be tried, even because it's over.
Amen.
Right.
Count it all joy because I've already pardoned you. I've already given you. I've already pardoned your iniquity. So it's funny because I'm a firm believer God doesn't hold grudges.
Amen.
Like we do.
Amen.
We say, I'll forgive, but I'll never
Forgive.
I'll forgive, but I'll go to my grave remembering. Is that really biblical?
No.
Because in Isaiah, the children of Israel did everything that they could do to get on God's bad side.
Yes.
And he said, your warfare is over and your iniquity is already pardoned.
Amen.
So that lets me know, even though my enemy has done this, I have to pardon them.
Yes.
Because if I'm to be like Christ, right?
That's it. Amen.
Then I can't say I'm a forgive, but I ain't gonna never. I'll never forgive.
Lord have mercy.
Because God says, I'm gonna give you double for your sins.
Yes, sir.
God, you mean you're gonna repay me? Not what I deserve, but you're gonna repay me something that I don't deserve? Do y'all hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we don't have the chance or the time to look down at our nose at somebody else, because God said, I'm going to give you double for your sins, for your iniquity. So I don't have time to look at one and say, you sinned against God and you this, because we all have. We all have. And so Isaiah is challenging and encouraging the people, listen, comfort, yes, comfort my people. Verse 12 through 6, he speaks to the ability. Not only is God saying, I'm going to deliver you, but God said, I also have the ability to deliver them. Lord, how did you allow? And it's funny because we always ask God this. Lord, how do you allow this to happen to me? I could imagine the children of Israel. Remember when they rebelled against God and did everything that they was big and bad enough to do? That God clumped them all together. Right? But I could imagine there were some people in there that was living for God. Right? There were some people in there that hadn't bowed their knee to Baal. There were some people that was in there that really was like, Lord, you mean to tell me you're going to clump me with all these evil people and you're going to send me into captivity? God, what it is that I did so bad to you? Why do you hate me? And why are you sending me into exile? And why are you doing this? And why am I being held accountable for something that somebody else did that I didn't even know they did? How can this happen to me? And God is saying that not only am I going to deliver you, but I have the ability to deliver you and to bring you out. Lord, how did this happen to me? I was doing, anybody ever been in an accident and you was following obeying the laws of the land and you was going the speed limit said 35 and you was going 32. You put your turn signal on to turn left or to get into the left lane. You did everything and all of a sudden something happened to where somebody hit you because they weren't doing it. And you say, well, God, I've been doing all the right things. I was crossing every T, dotting every I. And it seemed that bad came to me. And what I'm telling you is that anybody that lives here on this earth, it doesn't matter because he reigns on the what? Just and the unjust. It doesn't matter that just because you do all the things right, because we live in a fallen state, bad things happen to good people. Amen. So you can't sit in judgment and point the finger and say, well, God, they deserve it. But because we're living in this earth, it's going to happen to you. Right. Because why? We're part of human nature.
Yes, sir.
We're part of this creation, this fallen creation.
Yeah.
And we can't escape it. I don't care if you go to Mars. No, go on up there. You're still going to die.
Yeah.
You're not going to live 700 years. Amen. And it's funny because in verse 18 it says, to whom then will you liken God? Or what likeness will you compare him to? And likeness means pattern, shape, or form. Signifies the original after which a thing is patterned. God is the original. Verse 18, he's asking, who then shall you liken me unto? Who are you comparing me to? Are you comparing me to your father who was never there? You compare me to your mother who left you? Who have we compared God to?
That's it.
Who have we put God up next to say, yep, God, you're just like my daddy. You ain't never here when I need you. When you don't have a healthy, listen to me, when you don't have a healthy perspective of who God is, when your vision is skewed, you'll think that God is really the boogeyman. And that he's out to get you. Isaiah is comforting the people to let them know God is not out to kill you. He is really out to help you. Keep hope. Keep on trusting. Keep on believing. But how long? Keep on trusting. Keep on believing. How long am I going to be going through in my marriage? Keep on trusting. Keep on believing. How long am I going to pray for my son that's out there? Keep on trusting. Keep on hoping. Because he said, who shall you liken me unto? Who do you put me in a category with? Are we comparing them to President Trump? Are we comparing them to our senators, our governors, our bosses? Is that why we're not really looking to him as the author and finisher of our faith? He said, who shall you liken me unto? He said, I'm a jealous God. I'm in a category all by myself. He said, I know you're going to be in Babylonian captivity, but don't compare me to King Nebuchadnezzar, because I'm nothing like him. I'm not a God that's angry and trying to kill you and trying to get you and trying to do this. I'm not the boogeyman. I'm not King this and I'm not King this. I'm not King Jotham. I'm not King Ahaz. I'm not none of those kings. I'm in a class all by myself. So please don't compare me to anybody. Isaiah says, who shall we compare God to and who shall we liken him to? He gives his resume in verse 21. Have you not known? Have you not heard? What are we hearing? Isaiah is saying, let's go back in time. Didn't God bring the children out of Egypt? Have you not known? Have you not heard? Didn't God bring the children over the Jordan? Have you not known? Have you not heard? Look at God's resume. Who are you still comparing him to? After hearing his resume, after seeing everything that God has done, after experiencing all of the miracles, who still are you comparing God to? Who in your life are you comparing God to? After everything that he has done, he is asking the question, have you not known? Have you not heard? If your enemies have heard, what's wrong with your hearing? Remember when the children of Israel were getting ready to go into Jericho and Rahab the harlot said, we have heard that your God is a terrible God. Your God is a bad God. Now, if the enemies of God have heard about him, surely the saints of God should. Huh? What is it that you're hearing about your God? What is it that you know about your God? One of the things that Anita said during the time that we was going through, she said she would always, whatever the enemy would whisper in her ear, she said she would always put it up to what she know about God. Yeah. What is it that you heard? What is it that you really know about God? I'm not talking about what your parents have told you. I'm not talking about what grandmama had sit you down and said. What have you experienced about God that you can weigh it anytime you're going through something? We get to the message. The prophet in verses 27 through 31, he reproves the people of God. He reprimands them. Verse 27 says, why do you say, it's funny that when we go through, the first question we ask or say is Lord, surely, are you hearing me? Are you seeing what these people doing to me? You see what they're doing to me on my job? Anybody ever ask God that? Lord, you see how they treat me on my job and my family? Mm-hmm. Verse 27 says, why do you say, O Jacob, and speak, O Israel, my way is hidden from the Lord. and my just claim is passed over by my God. How can you say that God has forgotten about you? Is basically what Isaiah is saying. How can you say that God has forgotten about you? After all the prophets have come and said, God is going to bring you back. How can you say that God has forgotten about you? 2 Chronicles 16:9 says, for the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth. Psalms 121:3 says, he neither slumber nor sleeps. 1 Peter 3:12 says, for the eyes of the Lord are upon the righteous. I promise you, God has not forsaken you. God has not forgotten about you. God has not turned you over. God has not given you over to the enemy. God has not forgotten about you. That's one of the things that you have to continuously tell yourself when you look in the mirror. God has not forgotten about me. Say it with me. God has not forgotten about me. He sees what's going on. He understands what's going on. And he knows what's going on. He has not forgotten about little old you. It's not because you see everybody else being blessed. God, how can you allow the Babylonians to come in and take us captive and do